What's up, y'all? This is Brave, and I'm back to review another episode of Tyler Perry Sistas. This is season 5, episode 4, I believe, titled The Letter. And let's jump right on in. So we start this episode off with Fatima and Zach. As we know previously, they were getting into it at the gym because Aaron had showed up, and then that caused a whole stir about Karen and them going back and forth to the point where Zach actually called Fatima Karen, and she's like pissed off. So he's like, I'm not going to let you go. I'm not going to let you go. She's like, let me go. You need to learn one thing about me is that when I say let me go, let me, leave, you need to let me leave. And this is one thing that I will say about Fatima. Fatima has some really intense anger issues. I feel like that is not the same girl that we met, season, 2 or 3, whichever season that we met Fatima. I feel like we have definitely seen Fatima turn into a whole other person that Tyler has written. But I'm just going to try to, rock with it. So, again, they're going back and forth about how she's saying, let me go, please let me leave. I'm really upset. And he's not trying to let her go. So when she said, she's going to hit him, that's when he finally let her go. And I'm like, okay, wow. Did not expect those words to leave her mouth. But I do understand that. I feel like Fatima has a lot on her shoulders. And when I say she has a lot on her shoulders, when it comes to Zach and all this newfound information that we've learned about him, it's a lot. Because I don't know where this aligns with the Fatima storyline. But excluding all that drama, you have Fatima just now learning about how he may have another child with a stripper. You also have Karen, who just cursed her out the night before. And you just have Karen in general with this whole baby situation. It's just a lot. It's a lot to take on considering you're just someone's girlfriend. And that's the crazy part. That's why I keep saying I don't know where this aligns. Because in Fatima, they're engaged. So that would make it even worse. But nonetheless, he finally lets her go. And who ends up walking up? Deja. Again, Tyler, stop putting Deja in Sistas because it doesn't make sense. I really want to keep the Fatima characters in Fatima's world. Because Deja being here, for what? We could have spent this time on a different character. Nonetheless, she's being her typical self, flirting with Zach. Zach is not interested. He keeps trying to let her know nicely, I'm not interested in you. The part that bothers me is the fact that Deja is like, oh, I won't say anything. I won't say anything to your girl. Girl, how thirsty are you? I hate how thirsty Deja is. I honestly wish that she would, chill out for a minute. But nonetheless, she, bring her friends over and introduce him and all this stuff. And it's like, girl, this ain't your man. He just your landlord. And then for her to be she gonna be late on the rent, I would have been like, okay, and it'll be documented that you're going to be late on the rent. Because, let her be late too many times. You need to go ahead and put her out. But nonetheless, Deja ends up walking away and we're done with that scene. Now, let's jump on over to Q and Calvin. So Q is literally in Maurice's room, leaving Maurice's room with a whole other lady. Not even the girl from last episode. This is a whole new chick. And he's just talking about all this stuff he got going on or whatever. Calvin is sitting at the table pissed off. I'm like, see, this is the problem. Q should have been put out a long time ago, but I've realized Q ain't never left the house yet. Q has literally been laying up in Maurice's room with different chicks coming in and out. And what's crazy to me is that if I was one of them women, I was like, why do your room look like this? What's up with this color palette? Why you got purple walls? What's going on here? Nonetheless, Q finally sits down with Calvin, and Calvin is like, you don't feel some type of way? How you just gonna, basically throw Maurice under the bus? Q does not care. According to Q, he cut a deal like it was cake. He does not care about Maurice. He don't care about flipping on Maurice. His whole thing is, as long as he wasn't in jail, he's fine. And it's terrible to think that that's how he is, but he's ruthless. Now, here's the thing that gets me, is that he sits up here and talking about how, Calvin's name isn't on the lease and all this stuff. According to him, Maurice has told him all this stuff. And I'm just trying to figure out, at what point did Maurice have time to tell you all of this? And also, how do you think you're going to live rent free? Because Calvin only pays a portion of the rent. Who's going to be paying the rest? Because Maurice does not own his house. Or does he? Like, I'm trying to make it make sense. Because if there's a lease, then he doesn't own the place. So are you going to be paying the rest of the rent? Because you don't even have a job. So, nonetheless, he ends up leaving. And I'm just like, Calvin, I'm hoping that you plan on changing the locks so that way he can't come back in. And that's exactly what Calvin had planned. I said, finally, he's using his brain. So we circle back to the gym and we have Deja going on and on about how she wants Zach, blase blah, and her friends are cheering her on. I'm like, you mean to tell me that your friends are just as trifling as you? Girl, I guess birds of a feather definitely flock together in this situation. So next thing you know, Fatima pops up, of course. And Fatima had to handle Deja. Just smash her arm up a little bit in the locker. And here's the thing. It's funny to me how we are definitely making Fatima be the only woman who's violent, I guess you could say, because she's supposed to be about that life. And I'm just kind of like, okay, at what point is Fatima going to handle a situation, just verbally? Can we get some of that sometimes? But I guess, you know what? She's had it up to here with Deja. So sometimes you got to put hands on people. I digress. You know what? I don't even care about Deja's character, so she can get her ass beat every time she's on screen. I really would not care. So Zach ends up running in, trying to, help the situation, tells Fatima she got to get to work. She's about to leave. And then she kept having to tell Zach to come on. And I'm like, Zach, why are you even trying to check in on Deja? Fuck Deja. Because she the one who's putting you in this jacked up situation. Cut that out. Let's go ahead and move on. All right, so let's hop on over to Pam going to see Karen. Y'all, how many keys does Karen's apartment have? Because she has a key. I'm assuming all the girls have a key, so that's 3 more copies. Now Pam has a key. Why? Why do so many people have everybody's key to their apartment? That is weird. Nonetheless, she comes over so that she can see Karen, but of course, Karen's mom is giving her a hard time. So she finally lets Pam back into the room, and Karen actually did something that I was surprised by. She apologized to Pam for how she's been treating her, especially at the hospital. So, of course, this then leads Karen to ask Pam, like, did she tell Aaron that she was at the hospital? And Pam was like, no, of course not. So that made her realize, oh, wait, it was the doctor that he knows that squeezed her in for that appointment. That's the person who told him. And of course, this is supposed to be against some type of HIPAA law. So I'm going to need for Karen to sue the hospital, especially that doctor. So then Karen finally realizes that she cussed out Fatima for nothing. So technically she owes her an apology, but we'll see if we ever get that. So we learned that she's going to be out of work for a week. So Karen will probably be on bed rest for the rest of the season, y'all. Just prepare for Karen to be on bed rest for that long, because that's how Tyler rolls. So we got this scene of Aaron at an office. And I said, what job does he have that requires him to be in an office? Because I thought he was a preacher. He was a men's little guidance counselor. Nothing required him to wear a suit. But nonetheless, we gonna go ahead and roll with this. And for him to be in the office, I'm gonna let it go. So, Kara's mom, she decides to call him and let him know to come over for dinner at 8 o'clock. And she also tells him that Zach will be there. And I'm just like, is she sure this is a good idea? Because what's supposed to happen? Nothing's going to change. So, next thing you know, she calls Zach, tells him, he needs to show up or whatever. At first, he wasn't trying to hear it, but she told him that he had to be there and for him to invite Fatima because she needs to come too. I'm like, girl, what do you think is going to happen at this little meetup that you're planning? Because it sounds like a plan for a disaster. So, Danny, she ends up giving Andy a call, right? About this $20,000 that Calvin has that he can put up towards the bail for Sabrina. I'm still questioning, so what about Maurice? Can we put the $20,000 towards Maurice? Because what got me is that Andy is like, oh, good, that's good. Girl, don't think I forgot about that big settlement that you got. So let's go ahead and use your money. Because Andy has the bitcoins, okay? And yet again, she has not talked to Robin about Sabrina. I'm just like, well, girl, any other time you rushing to talk to this man, you ain't trying to see him at all? That's weird. So, let's go ahead and move on. Y'all, we have Q. He is at the airport. I'm already over the storyline. How does he have a job at the airport? Q probably can't even pass a drug test. Because last time I checked, he was addicted to meth. Like, I mean, I'm not a drug user, but I feel like whenever people use things like meth, like, I feel like once you're on it, like, you're addicted. So, shouldn't he still be a meth head? He didn't get that clean in jail because he was only there for about 2 days. So, make it make sense, please. Nonetheless, yeah, he's over here trying to flirt with Danny. Danny ain't really here for it. And I'm just like, please do not try to make him and Danny be a thing. Because that would be disgusting. Ew. I'm over Q. So, then next thing you know, the guy who was with his baby mama who was cursing Danny out, like 2 episodes ago, he comes back off the plane or whatever, and he tells her that, you know, she should hit him up or whatever. And I'm just like, so now every man want Danny. Ain't that something? Y'all, it used to be that every man wanted Andy, but now it's every man wants Danny. You have the what was he, the police officer or secret agent, whatever he was. You still got Preston calling. You got this guy. You got Q hitting on her. You still had that stripper man. Listen, since when was Danny the hot girl? I mean, I like the character, no offense, but when was she the hot girl? Because I thought it was always Andy. Okay, I see what you're doing, Tyler, trying to switch it up. Now let's jump on over to Andy, because she walks in on Fatima meditating, and Andy is asking her, like, you know, what's wrong? And Fatima finally lets her know that Karen is the problem. Karen and her piss poor behavior is the problem. And Fatima, she says that she can't do this. She can't be with Zach, and he still loves her. I hate that we circled back to Zach possibly still loving Karen, because we all know that he does not. I think he's just a man who's fed up with Karen and her antics, because every time you turn around, it's something with Karen. So even Andy has to let Fatima know, girl, Zach don't want to be with Karen. He only wants to be with you. So next thing you know, we do see that Andy leaves the office, and Karen ends up calling Andy and tells her what happened. You know, Andy wants to come visit her because this is her best friend who just got out of the hospital. But she's like, no, my mom is here. She don't want me to do anything. I'm on bed rest. But you know, what's going on? What's been going on? Andy, she doesn't want to, you know, put any more stress on Karen. So she decides not to tell her anything about Sabrina. And I'm like, okay, well, that was a smart decision, because that would definitely stress her out. She ends up calling Danny once she gets off the phone with Karen, so that way she can say, Danny, please do not call Karen and stress her out and tell her about Sabrina. And I'm like, well, don't worry, because Danny and Karen don't even talk like that anyways. I highly doubt they ever call each other on the phone. You don't have to worry about that. So let's go ahead and talk about Karen's mom. So she goes to see Karen, check in on her, wonder about these letters, right? Now, Karen talking about how she's cried every time that she started to write these letters. And I'm just like, girl, why? Because at this point, we have all seen you tell each of these men how you felt about them, yet nothing has changed. You still crying and wanting Zach. He don't want you. You keep telling Mr. Preacher Man Aaron you don't want him. He keep popping back up. Nothing's going to change. But whatever. So her mom ends up telling her about the dinner that she plans. And Karen, she doesn't want Fatima there because she knows that she's going to have to apologize. And she's stubborn and stuck in her ways. And, she had to admit to her mom that she cussed her out for no reason. And here's my thing. Her mom was like, Karen, if there's something that you need to tell Fatima, then you should just go ahead and tell her. And I'm just like, what more did she need to tell Fatima? Because that wasn't if you need to tell her that you're sorry for something type of conversation. Her mom made it seem like if you want to tell her off, go ahead and do it. Or am I tripping? I'm sorry, I do not like Karen or her mom's attitude. Both of their attitudes are trash, and you can't tell me otherwise. So we next get a scene with Zach actually calling Fatima, and next thing you know, he's popped up at her job. He tells her that he wants to talk to her, so they go talk in the break room. So Zach is basically letting her know that he doesn't want Karen, he only wants Fatima, and, Zach is going on and on about this. So he then tells Fatima about the whole Zach and Aaron being invited to Karen's house, by Karen's mom. And she's like, if you want to go, then go. But she still has the attitude this whole time. And Zach, he apologizes for everything. And at some point, Fatima finally gives in. And Zach says he's going to shut everything down. I said, all right, Zach, how many times you going to say you going to shut everything down? So while Zach and Fatima are about to leave the break room, here comes Hayden, of course. And he's like, because, I got a restraining order against you and blah, blah, blah. And Fatima was like, nah, you need to go ahead and check that. And then they walk off. So he goes to Andy's office and he's like, I know I have a restraining order. Why is he here? All this stuff. And Andy, she's like, you should talk to Robin about it. So then Hayden is going on and on. And then she's like, listen, Zach basically can come here because he's my client. And I said, let's circle back, Andy, because when you tried to help Sabrina, or not help Sabrina, it was because you're a divorce attorney. So how are you going to be Zach's attorney when this is not a divorce situation? But okay, Andy, I digress. So, here goes Hayden and his payback because he's like, oh, you haven't been in there to talk to Robin? You don't know who up in there? You should go up in there. You should go up in there. She's like, dude, who hurt you? What's your problem? What's your issue? So come to find out, y'all, Gary is meeting with Robin. I said, you know what? I cannot. I knew at some point Tyler was going to write this, but I'm over it already. Y'all, that was a review for episode 4. Let me know what y'all thought about the episode. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye, guys.